Alright, welcome back everybody. Just want to go over the results of last range trip with you. We gave the 200 grain nozzler partitions one more shot. This time we tried them with Alliant Reloader 26, and we mixed up the primers a bit too. We used Federal 215 match Magnum primers. Normally I don't use Magnum primers in a standard cartridge like 30-06, but with the Reloader 26 we're getting up there pretty close to 60 grains of powder, just under, and I've tried several other primers in combination with this bullet and figured what the hell, we'll try the Magnum primers and see how they do. A lot of people are running Magnum primers with Reloader 26. It's a pretty dense powder and usually really full cases. So we gave them a shot, and unfortunately we didn't have much better luck than we did with previous powder and primer combinations. It's pretty clear to me this rifle just doesn't like the 200 grain nozzler partition. Velocity was pretty good with the Reloader 26. Standard deviation and extreme spread were both pretty high though. As we've seen before with this bullet, the best groups that we can get are right around 1.5 inches. At 56.5 grains, we shot a 1.35 inch group. Standard deviation is 17. Extreme spread kind of up there, 45. And average velocity of 2487. Kind of duplicated that here. We climbed up a little bit, 25-24 for the average velocity, and a 1.56 inch group. And then at 57.5 grains, group opened up horribly. Don't mind this. This is some shrapnel. One of these rounds hit the steel post behind the target and threw bullet fragments back from the other side, so don't mind these. Shots are over here. They might as well be somewhere else though, as bad as that group is. Velocity climbed up nice, 25.64, and standard deviation was 2. Extreme spread of 5. So outstanding numbers and a crap group. And we've seen that a bunch of times with the 200 grain partition. There wasn't any pressure signs on the brass. I could keep going with it, see if these good numbers continue and maybe the group tightens up. But honestly, I've about had it with the 200 grain partitions in this rifle. The best I'm going to see is about 1.5 inches. And we've tried that with several different powders. I think 3 different powders now, different primers. So 1.5 inches is all this gun wants to shoot the 200 grainers. Like I said in the first video, 1.5 inches with 200 grain partitions, that's actually good enough for the purpose intended for this rifle. You know, calling moose, shooting a moose at 100 yards or less, that's fine. That's plenty accurate enough. And also for just a good round for carrying the rifle around, hiking in the summer, you know, in case you have to stop an angry bear or something like that. 200 grain partition would be a good bullet for that purpose. And accuracy like that is plenty adequate for, you know, shooting at very close ranges. So I've decided we're going to load up a decent supply of the 200 grain partitions, and we'll pick whichever powder did the best. I mean, they're all pretty close. Once you get around 2,500 feet per second, they shoot about 1.5 inches. So we'll pick one of those and load up a decent supply of those. Now, with the 180 grain Spear Grand Slam, we saw quite a bit better accuracy, and especially with the Reloader 16. Reloader 16 is quickly becoming one of my favorite powders. Unfortunately, it's very scarce. You'd think it's made from unicorn horn or some shit. Almost every store that I can get powder at is almost always sold out of Reloader 16. So apparently the word is out. You know, we went through this with H-4350 not too long ago, especially when the 6.5 Creedmoor really took off. Everybody was shooting in the 6.5 Creedmoor, and it became very scarce. Luckily, I had an 8-pound jug of it, so I kept my Magnums in business, which I love that powder in my Magnums. But back to the Reloader 16 and 180 grain Spear Grand Slam. In the last video, our groups really tightened up as we got closer to our higher end charges. It was shooting groups under an inch, very good numbers, and I had gone very conservative with the load data. Didn't want to run into any trouble with the pressure. There was no pressure, so we loaded up 3 more charges. Now at this point, I only had 10 pieces of brass left, sized, trimmed, ready to go. So I loaded 54.4 grains, 54.8 grains, and 55.2 grains. 54.4 is a 4-round group. The last 2 are 3-round groups. I don't really like 3-round groups. They don't tell me very much. It's too small a number. For a hunting rifle, load development, I like at least 4. You know, with a thinner barreled rifle, if you shoot a 5-round group, the barrel's usually too hot, and that starts skewing the groups by the time you get to shot 5. So a lot of times I'll shoot 4-round groups, almost never 3. But this is the brass I had ready to go. And you can see the numbers were really good, 6.8 standard deviation. And velocity was getting up there a little bit better than we saw before, 2690. A lot of vertical stringing on this group, but then it started tightening back up. And when we got to 55.2 grains, standard deviation of only 5.8, extreme spread of 14, average velocity of 2746, and a 0.60 inch group. So very good. Once again, it's only 3 rounds, so it doesn't tell me a whole lot, but very promising. So I think in this rifle, 180 grainers shoot better. I've only tried 1 200 grain bullet, and kind of kicking around the idea of shooting some 200 grain Nosler Accubons. I've had good luck with them in other rifles. Maybe this rifle will like them, but for now we just want a couple good loads. Moose thumper, bear protection, and then a good general purpose all around hunting round like the 180 grain Spear Grand Slam. It'd be great for just about anything. So I'm going to load up probably 10 rounds at this charge, 55.2, and just verify that this is real. It's not a fluke. The numbers are good. Velocity is right where I want it to be. We're right at about 2750. That's perfect for 180 grain 30-06. Excellent. Right on. Not too hot, you know, but plenty of velocity. So we're going to load up 10 more rounds of that, shoot a couple 5-round groups really slow, letting the barrel cool. Probably shoot 5 rounds at 100 yards and shoot another 5 rounds at probably 300 yards just to verify everything. And if everything still looks good, then this 55.2 grains, that'll be primary hunting load for this rifle. Now I've got tons of 30 caliber bullets for my Magnums, for my 308. I've got a really good selection. We could keep going and going and going with this rifle. I don't think there's any need to really. A couple of good hunting loads, and maybe we'll figure out a target load for it, you know, to play around with. Maybe some 168 grain bolt tail hollow points or something like that. Also, I should note that in the early testing of this rifle, I did a quick development, as I've mentioned in earlier videos. Did a quick development with 165 grain Hornady interlock with Varget powder. Varget's maybe not the perfect powder for 30-06. The velocity was pretty low. It was pretty modest velocity, but it was good numbers, and it was shooting them all under an inch with my hand loads. So there's plenty of room to look with the 165s too. Just 165 isn't really wouldn't really be my choice for moose. Be okay for black bear, caribou, stuff like that. But I'd really like 180s or 200s for moose. So on the rifle itself, I'm very happy with the rifle's performance. We've put a couple hundred rounds through it, 0 malfunctions. Magazine works perfectly, no jams. Bolt works great. 3-position safety works great. Trigger's pretty good. It extracts really well. I have 0 complaints about the rifle. With the early testing, with the factory ammunition, we shot 165 grain Winchester Super X, and it was shooting 5-round groups just over an inch. Now with Thompson Center's 3-shot, 1 MOA guarantee. It definitely meets or exceeds that, even with pretty low-end factory ammunition. Put three rounds on target, it's under an inch. You open it up to 5 rounds and it's just over an inch. That could be the barrel heating, like I mentioned, and starting to throw them around a little bit. For what these rifles cost, it's an outstanding value. Almost anyone could scrape together enough money to buy one of these rifles, put maybe one of the starter Nikon scopes or, whatever, and go out and hunt really anywhere in North America. You could do so much phenomenal hunting for such a small investment in money. Most people don't hand load, and if that was the case with me, if I had bought this rifle and just wanted to hit the woods and go do some hunting, I would go buy 3 or 4 different types of factory ammunition. I would buy some 165 grain ammo, some 180s, shoot them, see what the rifle likes, see what shoots best in it, and pick the one that works best in 165 or 180. Buy a decent supply of that ammo, preferably from the same production lot, and then I would go out and hunt with it. And I would feel perfectly adequate carrying this rifle on pretty much any hunt in North America. It's shooting an inch or under, very reliable, it's comfortable to shoot, the recoil isn't terrible, and I've shot some 30-06s in the past that the recoil was pretty stiff for a standard cartridge. This one has just enough weight, I think, to absorb it, decent butt pad. So it seems like the accuracy with these rifles can be a little hit or miss. I think this one is good. Some of these rifles, some of these compasses shoot incredibly well. Half-inch groups over and over and over. It seems to me like, anecdotally, of course, the 30 caliber variants of this rifle tend to not shoot as well as some of the smaller calibers in this rifle. Famously, Johnny's reloading bench. That guy got one of these in 6.5 Creedmoor. Thing shoots one whole groups. I mean, a bad group is 1 inch with that rifle. It's just incredible. And I've also heard quite a few good reports from 243 Winchester and 223 Remington that the smaller calibers tend to be very accurate in these rifles. Haven't had any feedback on the 7mm from these, but the feedback I've gotten from the 30 calibers, 308, 30-06, 300 Win Mag, and this one included, is that they're not quite as good. And from what I've seen, there's a few lemons out there in the 30 caliber rifles. TC has that guarantee, so if you're unfortunate enough to get one that really doesn't shoot, send it back to them. They're a good company. They'll take care of it. My final impression of the TC Compass and 30-06, excellent. For the money, come on. This is a fantastic rifle that you can buy from between $200 and $300. If you're paying more than $300 for it, there's something wrong with you. You're buying from the wrong gun shop. If you shop around, you can get them for $259, $279, $299. Even in Alaska, you can get it for under $300. And usually once or twice a year, Thompson Center has a rebate of $50 to $100. So there's an awful lot of guys out there who got one of these rifles and ended up only paying $199 for it. That's insane. I mean, it blows my mind. How are they making any money on that at all? I mean, good for us, right? And it comes in I think 10 or 11 different chamberings, from 204 Ruger up to 300 Win Mag. So if you want to try a new cartridge, I've been wanting to try a 7mm 08 for a while, but it's kind of hard. I have other rifles that fill that need pretty well. Something I've been wanting to play around with. I might actually do it in a TC Compass because, $200 to $300, what are you out? I mean, that's the cost of a few boxes of ammo, really good ammo anyway. So yeah, my overall final opinion, for the money, it kicks ass. Go buy one. Thanks for checking us out. be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons. Thank you.